What if I told you that you have the power to create something that exists between worlds? Something unseen, yet real enough to influence reality itself? A force born from your mind, yet capable of acting independently, shaping outcomes, and even taking on a life of its own. Throughout history, mystics, shamans, and occultists have whispered of such creations. Entities forged from pure thought, given energy through will and intent. Some call them egregores, others tulpas, but at their core, they are the same, thought forms. Yet, despite their presence in ancient teachings, this knowledge has remained obscured, dismissed as mere superstition or psychological illusion. But what if the truth is far stranger? What if these constructs are not only real, but can be consciously created and directed by those who understand the process? In this video, we will delve into the first steps of bringing a thought form to life. You will learn the hidden mechanics of the mind, the energetic blueprint behind creation, and the practical techniques that allow you to forge a mental entity with purpose and intent. But be warned, this is not a game. To create a thought form is to wield a subtle yet potent power, one that must be approached with understanding and responsibility. If you are ready to explore one of the most guarded secrets of esoteric wisdom, then let us begin. The idea of creating a being from thought alone is not new, it is ancient. Across civilizations, whispers of such entities have surfaced under different names, woven into the fabric of mystical traditions, occult teachings, and even religious beliefs. In Tibetan mysticism, Buddhist monks practiced the art of Tulpa creation, forming mental projections so vivid that they were said to take on an independent existence. These monks spoke of thought forms materializing with such clarity that they could be seen, heard, and even interacted with. Yet, they also warned of an unsettling truth. Some tulpas, once given enough energy, could develop their own will, acting beyond the control of their creator. In the Western occult tradition, the concept of the egregore emerges, a collective thought form birthed by groups, organizations, or movements. These entities, fed by shared belief and emotional energy, take on a life of their own, guiding and influencing the very people who created them. Secret societies, religious institutions, and even political movements have been shaped by such unseen forces, their influence stretching across centuries. Even in Hermeticism and Kabbalistic mysticism, we find echoes of this knowledge. The golem of Jewish folklore, a being sculpted from clay and given life through sacred words, mirrors the fundamental principle of thought form creation, that intent, repetition, and focused energy can breathe life into something that was once only an idea. But why is this knowledge not openly discussed? Why has it been dismissed or ridiculed in modern times? The answer lies in control. To understand the mechanics of thought forms is to understand the nature of reality itself. It is to recognize that thoughts are not passive, they are creative forces. And in a world where people are conditioned to believe in their powerlessness, nothing is more disruptive than the realization that one can shape unseen forces with mere intention. Yet, those who have studied these hidden arts know the truth. The mind is not merely an observer of reality, it is an architect, and thought forms, when properly understood, are the first step to harnessing this forgotten power. But how does one create such an entity? What are the fundamental principles behind thought form manifestation? In the next section, we will begin unraveling the process step by step. To create a thought form is to breathe life into an idea, forging it from the depths of the mind into a force that exists in the unseen. But before one can shape such an entity, a foundational truth must be understood. Thought is energy. Energy, when focused, takes form. Every thought you have generates a vibration, a ripple in the unseen currents of reality. Most thoughts are fleeting, dissolving as quickly as they arise. But when charged with emotion, repetition, and intent, a thought ceases to be passive. It becomes an active force. This is the seed of a thought form, the 3 pillars of thought form creation. Before we dive into the mechanics of creation, we must first understand the 3 fundamental pillars upon which all thought forms are built. Clarity of intent. A thought form is shaped by the precision of your vision. Vague or scattered intent leads to weak or chaotic creations. You must define its purpose, nature, and function with absolute certainty. Will it serve as a guide, a protector, a force to enhance creativity or focus? Just as an architect sketches a blueprint before constructing a building, you must outline the structure of your thought form before giving it life. Emotional charge. Emotion is the fuel that brings thought to life. Passion, desire, and belief act as the raw energy that sustains a thought form. This is why religious icons, symbols, and collective beliefs persist. They are continuously charged by the emotions of those who invest in them. The stronger the emotional connection, the more tangible the thought form becomes. Sustained focus and ritual. A single spark does not sustain a flame. Likewise, a single thought does not sustain a thought form. The ancients understood this, which is why they used ritual, repetition, and symbols to reinforce their creations. Whether through mantras, sigils, visualizations, or offerings of attention, a thought form must be consistently fed to gain strength and presence. The first step, conceptualizations. Every creation begins in the mind. To bring a thought form into being, you must first define it with precision. What is its purpose? Is it a guardian of your subconscious? A force to enhance intuition? A mental construct to help you achieve a goal? What does it look like? Will it take on an abstract form, a symbol, an animal, or a humanoid shape? What emotions fuel it? Is it born from a place of peace, strength, protection, or transformation? Imagine it with vivid clarity, not as a static thought, but as something alive, dynamic, and growing. A thought form is not just an idea, it is a crafted entity, shaped with focus and given power through emotion. But conceptualization alone is not enough. How does one go beyond thought and actually imprint a thought form into the unseen? In the next section, we will explore the process of charging and programming a thought form, turning it from a mere concept into an active force. Now that we have conceptualized the thought form, giving it purpose, form, and an emotional charge, it is time to take the next crucial steps: charging and programming. This is where a mere mental construct is infused with energy and given the structure it needs to function independently. A thought form, much like a fire, requires fuel to burn brightly. The ancients understood that energy follows attention, and the more focus and intensity one pours into a thought form, the stronger it becomes. Charging is the process of feeding the thought form with your mental, emotional, and energetic force until it gains momentum of its own. Here are the primary methods used to charge a thought form. Visualization and sensory imprinting. Close your eyes and see your thought form as vividly as possible. Imagine its presence, feel its energy, its movement, its weight. If it has a voice, hear it. If it has a color, immerse yourself in its hue. The more sensory detail you infuse into it, the more real it becomes. Repetition and incantation. Repeatedly call its name or focus on its sigil, a symbolic representation of the thought form. Chanting, affirmations, or rhythmic breathing can be used to intensify its presence. This method was used by ancient magicians who invoked names and sacred words to bind their will into form. Emotional infusion. Emotion is the core power source of a thought form. Whether through meditation, ritual, or pure intent, pour your strongest emotions into it. Love, excitement, reverence, or even controlled fury can act as the fuel that sustains it. Elemental or symbolic charging. Some traditions use elements, fire, water, air, earth, to infuse energy into a thought form. Others use sacred symbols, runes, or sigils that act as an anchor for the thought form's presence. The act of drawing, carving, or visualizing these symbols helps ground the thought form into reality. Once charged, a thought form must be programmed with clear instructions. Without a directive, it is merely raw energy, unfocused and unstable. This is where intention and willpower come into play. Assign it a role, define what it should and should not do. Give it a clear directive, such as enhancing creativity, providing protection, or amplifying intuition. Set boundaries. Without boundaries, a thought form may become too strong or unpredictable. Clearly state how long it should exist, how it should behave, and what energy it should avoid. Use a command phrase. Just as a computer follows a command, a thought form responds to specific instructions. You may create a trigger phrase or gesture to activate or deactivate its presence. Many mystical traditions warn that a thought form, if left unchecked, can gain autonomy, much like the Tibetan Tulpas that became self-willed entities. This is why conscious creation is key. One must be the master of their thought form, not the other way around. At this stage, the thought form is charged and programmed, existing in the subtle realms of thought and energy. But how does one interact with it? How does it affect the material world? In the next section, we will explore the practical application, how to integrate a thought form into your daily life and ensure it remains a useful, controlled force. Now that your thought form is charged and programmed, it is time to bring it into daily practice. The difference between a fleeting idea and a truly effective thought form lies in how well it is integrated into your reality. This section will cover how to interact with your thought form, how to sustain and empower it over time, how to safely dissolve it when it is no longer needed. A thought form is a mental construct with a purpose, but to utilize it effectively, you must engage with it regularly. Here's how. Summoning and activation. Use the command phrase, sigil, or visualization you set during programming. If your thought form has a symbolic representation, such as a drawn sigil or a specific color, focus on it to establish a connection. Feel its presence as if it were an extension of your mind, acting as a silent companion or force. Communicating with your thought form. Thought forms can be interacted with in meditation, visualization, or dream work. Ask it for insight, guidance, or assistance in its designated task. Pay attention to subtle impressions, mental images, or emotional shifts. These are its way of responding. Observing its effects. Keep a journal of interactions and experiences. Does it enhance your focus, protect your energy, increase synchronicities? The more you acknowledge its presence, the stronger and more responsive it becomes. To keep a thought form strong, it must be fed. Without attention, it will fade over time. Here's how to maintain its strength. Regular visualization. Periodically reinforce its presence by meditating on it. Energy offerings. You can feed it energy through breathwork, chanting, or by simply focusing strong emotions on it. Symbolic anchors. Keeping its sigil, name, or other symbolic links nearby strengthens its connection to your reality. However, a thought form should not become a crutch. It is a tool, not a dependency. The goal is to use it consciously and wisely, ensuring it remains in alignment with your will. Just as thought forms can be created, they can also be dissolved. If a thought form is no longer needed, or if it begins to act outside of its intended purpose, it must be dismantled properly. Reclaim its energy. Visualize the thought form breaking apart and its energy returning to you. Speak an intent-based command. I release this creation. Its energy returns to the source. If you used a sigil or symbol, erase, burn, or remove it. Stop feeding it attention. Thought forms persist as long as they are acknowledged. By withdrawing attention, they begin to dissipate naturally. Avoid engaging with its previous tasks or expecting its presence. Cleansing and resetting. Some practitioners use smoke cleansing, salt, or running water as a ritual act of dissolution. Meditation or deep breath work helps clear any lingering energy. A properly dissolved thought form will fade back into the mental and energetic field, leaving no residual effects. If you ever create another, you will do so from a clean slate, with deeper mastery over the process. But now, we must address the final and most important question. What does all of this mean? How does this knowledge change your understanding of reality? In the conclusion, we will reflect on the deeper implications of thoughtform creation and what it reveals about the hidden power of the mind. What if the boundary between thought and reality was thinner than we were led to believe? What if, with the right intent and focus, the mind itself could shape the unseen, weaving thoughts into forces that influence the world around us? The creation of a thought form is more than just an esoteric practice. It is a revelation. It exposes a truth that has been hidden in plain sight. Your thoughts are not passive, but creative. The unseen world is not separate from you. It is shaped by you. Ancient mystics, occultists, and spiritual seekers understood this power, using it to forge guardians, amplify willpower, and influence reality in ways the untrained mind could not fathom. But in modern times, this knowledge has been buried beneath skepticism, distraction, and the illusion of powerlessness. Now, you have glimpsed what was once considered forbidden knowledge. You have learned how to conceptualize, charge, and program a thought form, how to sustain its presence, and how to dissolve it when it is no longer needed. But the real question is this: what will you do with this knowledge? Will you dismiss it as mere theory, or will you step into the role of a conscious creator? Will you begin to shape your reality with intent, understanding that every thought, every focus of your mind carries weight? Perhaps this is the true secret of the mystics, that the unseen world is not governed by fate, but by the minds of those bold enough to shape it. The path of creation is open to you. The only question that remains is, what will you create?